Today we are making Zuppa Toscana soup from Olive Garden. It's not from Olive Garden, but hey, it's a knockoff. You will need kale. You will need chicken broth, heavy whipping cream. You will need potatoes. Russet potatoes are best. You will need garlic. You will need Italian sausages. I chose the hot ones. You can use sweet or whatever kind you want, but I used hot. You will need about 3 or 4 slices of bacon. Again, the garlic. You will need some chicken bouillon, a little bit of black pepper, some herbs de Provence, and just a little bit of butter. Because butter makes everything better, right? First things first, you want to go ahead and fry up your pieces of bacon. Cut them into tiny pieces like this. And then I went ahead and sauteed them or fried them up until they look like this. So it took about maybe 10 minutes or so to get them to this stage. It's just going to add a little extra something. Then I went ahead and peeled the casing shells off of my Italian sausages and went ahead and got them in the pan to go ahead and fry up as well. While that was frying up, I did go ahead and get my potatoes cut into pieces. I went ahead and cut them into round circles, but the round circles were too big, so I did end up cutting them again into like half moons, and it ended up being perfect. Went ahead and got some of that starch cleaned off of them, washed them really, really well until they were just nice and clean and white. So then this is how my sausage ended up turning out after I cooked it fully. All that brown gravy at the bottom of there, I would guess you could call it grease, but hey, it's going to be absolutely delicious in this soup. And I actually wanted it in big chunks because I wanted to really stand out in my soup. Next, I thoroughly washed my kale. Kale is extremely dirty, as most leafy green vegetables are. Kale is so good for you. It's so healthy, full of vitamins, but it's extremely dirty. So I did go ahead and submerge that in some cold water and get that thoroughly cleaned. I just dunk until it came out completely clean. Next, I went ahead and diced up my onion and got that nice and sauteed in my pan with a little bit of butter. Then I went ahead and took several cloves of garlic. You can never have too much garlic for me, as far as I'm concerned. And I went ahead and diced it, roughly diced it. I like big chunks of garlic. If you want it finely diced, you could go ahead and finely dice it. Next, I went ahead in my pan, I went ahead and took my potatoes, drained them thoroughly, and then I added my potatoes and my garlic to a pan to saute with some butter. Now, this is not a normal step with Zuppa Toscana soup, but I just decided to do that to just add layers of flavor. There's my vegetables as well as my sausage and my bacon all ready to go. So once I got my potatoes nice and kind of, I guess you could say, sauteed a little browned on the outside. They're still not done. They're still really hard. So they're still going to have to cook. Yep, they're still going to need to cook for a little while in order to be able to be completely done. But I did want to just put a little bit of a brown on them, just to lock in the flavor. Then I went ahead and added them to my meat mixture. And now it's time to add our broth to go ahead and start making our soup. I took an entire container of chicken broth, 28-ounce container, added that to my soup, and it covered it perfectly. That's about the cover that you want. You don't want it to be too soupy because this is kind of a thick soup. So once I got those potatoes and the meat and everything in there covered with that broth, now it's time to season everything up. You already know I'm going to do my garlic powder and my onion powder. I didn't include them on the ingredient list, but that's kind of a given with me. Anything I make, I'm going to put onion powder and garlic powder in it. Those are definitely 2 of my most favorite seasonings. Then I went ahead and put some of my chicken flavored bouillon in there. I know I already have the chicken broth in there, but the chicken bouillon just added an extra richness to the whole dish. Then I went ahead and put my herbs de Provence. I've fallen in love with this herb. I never measure it. I just pour it in there until the ancestors tell me to stop. So I went ahead and got everything stirred up. This soup is going to cook. It's going to cook for probably about, I would say, 40 minutes or so. After it cooked for 40 minutes, went ahead and got my kale chopped up into little pieces and cleaned. And I added my kale to my soup. Carefully added it to my soup. Again, the soup is cooked about 40 minutes. And now I'm adding the kale to it. I'm still going to cook it for another 20 minutes because kale is kind of hard. It's kind of chewy and tough. So it does need a little while to cook. So once I added my kale, I did go ahead and cook my soup for another 20 minutes or so. But I got all my kale added into there. Doesn't that look yummy? Now it's going to cook down considerably. You know, all green leafy vegetables cook down once the hot hits them. So that's what it ended up wilting down to. Here's my soup. With so much steam, it makes the picture quality kind of bad. I apologize for that. Oh boy, that thick broth. But I'm still not done. There's still an extra ingredient that I'm going to add to this. And I cooked it another 20 minutes with the kale in there. Once it cooked 20 minutes with the kale, nice and the potatoes are fork tender. Everything is all marinated. All the flavors have marinated. And that kale has gotten nice and wilted. I went ahead and added the best ingredient of them all, my heavy whipping cream. Went ahead and poured probably about a half of cup of that in there. Got that stirred up really well. Look at that beautiful color. It makes it such a beautiful color. I love cream. I love cream soups. So you've got that chicken base, like a chicken stock base, and then you got that creamy texture to it. Oh, so good. Oh, that looks so delicious. I cooked it probably after I added that cream. I cooked it probably another 5 minutes, and there's the finished result. Yum, 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 yum. Now you can just eat it like this. It's ready to go. But I had to be extra, so I went ahead and added a little bit of sharp cheddar cheese on top. Oh, this soup was so delicious, you guys. Make you some of this soup. My favorite. Thanks for watching.